Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks. I know it's been a while since my last video, basically I was going to make a video a few weeks ago and had some things come up with my family, so kind of life took a front seat and wasn't able to make any content, but we're back, and I thought a great video for this video, a great topic for this video would be to do a full tour. Now I've done other videos with kind of a fish room tour before, but I thought it would be good to kind of show every kind of tank or whatever I've got going on, but also kind of make it more of like that old school MTV crib style video where I'm showing you some other things behind the scenes that you wouldn't see on a normal tour video. So I do have some changes since the last full fish room tour or whatever. So I thought, yeah, let's go ahead and, take a look around and see what's going on. So we are in my upstairs office. I haven't done anything to like make this look good. So you're really seeing what it looks like on a day-to-day basis, kind of the more real look. So in here, I only have one aquarium. I used to have another aquarium over there, actually two, and both of those are gone. In fact, what I did in this spot is I made like a little photo booth where I do some product photography for our website. For those of you that don't know, I work for Aquarium Co-op, and that is a product that we're getting ready to launch here, so getting some shots of that. Over here, this is kind of the camera shelf. There's no cameras on there because I'm holding one, and there's another downstairs, which you'll see later on in this video. Some products for testing over here. But anyway, this is my 40 breeder, 40-gallon aquarium that I have here in my office. It is a planted tank. Originally, this was just a cherry shrimp tank, and then I ended up putting some white cloud mountain minnows in here. I love white clouds. They are an endangered fish and not really found in the wild anymore. So that's kind of part of it. But also I love when they spawn. The babies look like little neon tetras. I'll get some good B-roll later. So anyway, this is my 40-gallon tank. Lots of plants in there. I did have some problems. You can see like all the bottom there is kind of all melted out looking. So I lost some plants. I had a duckweed issue. This tank was getting neglected for a while, and now it's on the road to recovery. Even though it's June, it's typical California June gloom. It's like 60 degrees outside, so I got my little fireplace in here. There's the good old YouTube plaque. And then over here, this is my desk setup. One of my desk setups where I'll do work, take meetings, that kind of a thing. I do work from home. For those of you that wonder, I'm on Macs. There's my Mac Mini. There's kind of my backup old school MacBook Pro that I kind of use just for like if I'm gonna, check email or something when I'm having breakfast, kind of a thing. And then we kind of talked about that shelf already. So now let's go downstairs and see some more tanks. All right, now we are downstairs in my living room, which is one floor down from where the office is upstairs, which is on the third floor essentially. And in here we have two aquariums. You might remember from an old video, I had an aquarium over here. That got moved over there. I apologize for the sound, but my dog decided it's a good time to attack his toy. So over here we have a 75-gallon African cichlid tank. If there's a glare, I apologize. I'll get some B-roll later on. And in here we have, I don't know, 30 plus African cichlids. These are all fish that I raised up from fry because they were spawned by the fish that I have downstairs in the fish room. And yeah, overall they're doing well. I still need to go through and kind of move some more fish around, maybe sell or give some away just to kind of get the right number in here. I have been playing with filtration. You might see that I've got a hang-on back right there. Still kind of optimizing that. I'll make a more dedicated video on my cichlid tank later on. But yeah, overall, it's a great tank. African cichlids are beautiful to look at. We've got the power head over there with the sponge pre-filter on. We've got the pre-filter on the hang-on back. We've got all kinds of stuff going on in here. But again, lots of great cichlids spawned from the fish downstairs. And then over here, we have a jungle planted tank. Now I haven't like cleaned anything, so if you see any algae, it's, yeah, you know, life is life. But we have electric blue acara in here. We have some albino corridoras, and that is all we have as far as fish in this tank. Just those two different species and just some random plants that I threw in there from various plants that I had downstairs. We've got the pogo, the octopus there, and it's turning into a jungle, as you can see. There's some val and swords and all kinds of things in there. I need to do some cleaning in here. I also need to get probably a bristlenose pleco that can do a better job of some of the areas where I'm not getting algae, like on that back glass back there. If you remember, this used to be a Tanganyikan tank with a rock wall background, which I took down. But my wife loves this tank because she loves looking at these electric blue acara. They, in her words, remind her of like a beautiful blue dress. So, you know, that is important to have fish that your significant other likes, so that they can put up with you having lots of tanks in the house. So anyway, as far as tanks in the house, that's it. Just the one upstairs and the two down here. Then out here we do have a pond. So this is our patio pond. I built this pond. I made videos about this pond. Let me see if I can get this polarizer to work a little bit better there. There we go. And in here we've got shabunkin, goldfish, koi, and a dojo loach that is huge. It is a really big dojo loach that probably won't get focused on. There we go. It's not so bad. It's all of 8 or 9 inches long. This fish, if not longer, this fish was actually given to me by my daughter's friend when she was going off to college. She needed to find a home for this fish, and I said, well, the fish can live in the pond in the backyard or on the patio. So that's 6 years ago. Yeah, my daughter graduated in 2019, so it's been 6 years and it's still doing just fine over winter and everything. I do live in California, so you know we don't get cold winters. There is the koi, quite large, quite healthy. Lost a couple of goldfish over the years, but still have quite a few. I have made some modifications to the filtration. I added this big canister filter here, which I'll do a dedicated pond video too in the future. This is a Laguna canister filter. This was sent to me for free by the owners of Laguna, which is the company that owns Fluval, Hagen. And what I love about this is that it has the backflow option. So I connected another pipe to it, and then I can basically stop the water from flowing in, and I can pump all the dirty water out. And there's like a handle. You can see the handles over there where you can do like a little squeegee motion. It cleans the internal filters and just makes everything more clear. It also has a UV sterilizer in there, which is why I put it in here. I had this pond was so bad, it was literally pea soup. You could not see the fish, and this is only 2 feet deep. You could not see the fish in here. So this total system, I call it 500 gallons. It's probably closer to 490 gallons at this point, between the water that's in the filter, the water that's in this little bog filter thing, and then here in the pond. So yeah, it's just kind of a nice thing to have outside. I do like koi fish. I've talked about this before. I love koi. They remind me very much of my mom, who also loved koi fish and koi ponds. My mom recently passed away, which was the family matter that I was addressing in May. So anyway, yeah, I just like to look at the fish and enjoy the outside. Now let's go down to the fish room. Now, before we go on to the main part of the video tour where we're going down to the fish room and checking out all the tanks that you're probably here for, I want to pop in real quick and thank the sponsor of this video. If you're a longtime viewer, you know who it is, Into the AM. So normally you see me wearing their graphic tees, but today it's kind of cold, as I shared, so I'm wearing a hoodie. I've got an Into the AM shirt underneath, which is just a plain t-shirt, and I'm even wearing Into the AM joggers. Very comfortable for lounging around the house. but also great for working out in the gym and things like that. They are having a sale starting June 14th through June 19th, so kind of a Father's Day sale, 40% off to 80% off of almost everything on the website. And if you use the link down below, you get an additional 10% off. So I love their shirts, lots of cool graphics. You see me wearing them before in other videos, and I can't recommend them enough. Very good quality, very good fit. So if you're looking for a nice fitted t-shirt that fits well around the arms and the chest, gives you a little bit of room down here, fantastic. Their women's sizes are great as well, and check them out down below. So thank you to Into the AM, fantastic clothing. Get yours by using the discount link down below. So in true kind of Cribs fashion, we're more behind the scenes stuff. So we're now going down to the ground level, I should say. This is my garage. For those of you that don't know, I'm super into motorcycles. Used to race motorcycles. There's a couple old race suits from when I was younger and skinnier and faster. But anyway, the garage has a door that you can enter into kind of a basement. And this basement is quite large. This is my gym room. And in here we've got, gym equipment, benches, dumbbells, full rack, all attachments, etc. There's my bicycle. And then there's this wall. So I built this wall to separate part of the basement. And this is where the fish room is. Now, you might notice as soon as we walked into this room, the sound changed, right? It got like quieter. You don't hear an echo. And that's because we have these sound panels on the wall. So people sometimes in videos ask me, like, what are those black things on the wall? How'd you make your walls black? These are sound panels that are designed to capture sound, not let sound waves bounce around. And the reason is we wanted a quiet place for me to be able to record videos, since 99% of the videos that I record are done down here in this room. I do have this light off right now. That's a softbox light that I use because I usually stand like right here when I'm filming videos. And then behind me is all this. Here is a microphone that stays mounted that we use for recording. This is just a little curtain to keep reflection when I'm doing live streams off from that light. This mount right here is where the camera that I'm holding is normally set. Over here, this is new. You haven't seen this. This is a 3D printer. In fact, you can see some parts that I printed in there. And I bought this 3D printer back in April, I think. One, because I want to be able to print things for myself, and very cool, super handy. There's the filament dryer down there. But also because at Aquarium Co-op, we are now making 3D printed products, and I wanted to be able to print those here. So here's an example of one. This is our snail collector. This thing is awesome. I'll link all the stuff down below, but this one, if you're going to get anything out of this video, order yourself one of these. World of difference. All right, so down here in older videos, you might have remembered there was a full row or wall of tanks over here. I did change those out and kind of made another office setup. So I'll do meetings down here as well. Here's my microphone setup for live streams and podcasts and that kind of a thing. And I do work down here. It does seem kind of dark, but it's not as bad as it seems. I can turn a light on. And then let's talk about tanks. Actually, yeah, let's talk about tanks. We'll just kind of go around in a circle. So 125 gallon Tanganyikan tank. This tank was actually gifted to me by a former client. So I used to have an aquarium service business, and this tank was, the long story, which I'll try to shorten, is this customer used to have a 37 gallon glass tank with an Oscar and a giant Pleco and some other South American cichlids. Like, it was just overcrowded. The nitrates were like 200 parts per million on my very first visit. So took care of that tank, told them they need a bigger tank. It was a medical office. So we got this tank. I installed it. It was running for another year or two. And then they shut their office down right around the COVID time, I believe. And so they gave me the tank, and I turned it into a Tanganyikan tank after I had Oscars and all that kind of stuff. So I love this tank. It is super cool. I love my shell dwellers and my rock dwellers and all kinds of cool stuff in here. We do have the 3D background that Universal Rocks was very kind to send to me. Over here, we have the gold ocellatus. Now, if I'm going around and there's reflections, don't worry, I'll come back and get B-roll and we'll cover up the reflections, but the glare. But here we have gold ocellatus, beautiful dwarf cichlid, but quite aggressive. So I do not recommend putting these in tanks with other fish unless a tank is really big. So maybe like in this tank, I might have been able to have like one section be gold ocellatus and then everything else kind of living over there. But I don't know. They are quite vicious, even though they're quite small, like for scale. Here's my hand, and they're little tiny things. But they'll, if I put my hand in there, they'll like try to bite me. They're very, very protective of their area. Over here, next to the gold ocellatus tank. Let me turn this light off real quick here because it's kind of bright. So next to the gold ocellatus tank, we have the 5-foot, 90-gallon acrylic tank. Also a gift. A lot of these are gifts. So this was a gift. That I got for free from a friend. This one I got free from a school. This one I got free from that same friend. So nice to have friends that, you know, are looking out for you. And I still get people all the time messaging me about free tanks that they found, but I don't want any more tanks. But this is a 5-foot long, 90-gallon acrylic tank. I have all my African cichlids in here. We've got fish that I've had for a long, long time. Grandpa fish that are at this point, you know, 8+ years old and not doing well, as you can see, but I don't cull them. I just kind of let them, you know, live their long life. We do have the one 5-star general in there. I know that's West African, not East African, but she needed a home and she does fine in there. She's quite tough. And the fish in here are the parents of the fish upstairs, except for there are some of these smaller ones that were part of that same batch, and I moved them down here. So we'll be moving a few more. Down below, this tank has nothing in it as far as fish. Or snails or anything. It's just a plant tank that I'm using for photography right now for the website. And we talked about my other camera. So here's a camera that I have set up, and I just moved it by mistake. Anyway, this camera is set up so that I can take photos of the tank, and then I have a little blue mark there so that it doesn't move, and it's kind of a 1 every 2 or 3 days photo to kind of see the growth of the plant. So that's a project I've got going on. This tank over here, brackish tank, still empty, just water and brackish water and Java fern. Yeah, nothing. I don't know what I'm doing with this tank. I might break it down. I might find a brackish fish in there, but hasn't really been a priority. Over here, probably one of my favorite tanks. This is the Salosi tank, Chindongo Salosi, or if you're old school, Pseudotrophia Salosi. The water looks green, and that's because I put a whole bunch of duckweed in there. That's not a fish, by the way. That's a sticker of a Salosi that we sell at Aquarium Co-op. But I put a bunch of duckweed in here because these fish are omnivorous, but they lean heavily on the vegetation side. So plants, algae, anything like that, they will devour vegetables, and it's good to have that in their diet. So when I have duckweed in other tanks, which unfortunately I do from time to time, I will collect it, put it in here. I can even grab like clumps of algae and put it in here, and they will destroy it. So let's say like in here, I had some, algae right there, some hair algae, or, some algae right there. I can take that algae, put it in this tank, and it will be gone in a few hours. They just eat the whole clump, a whole handful of it. So, but I love these fish. The males are the ones with the dark blue bands and the light blue body. And then the females and juveniles are yellow. This is a 75-gallon tank. If I didn't mention it, that is, I forgot, 40, 37 I don't know, something like that. 20s, these are 20s. That's the 90 we talked about. Down here, 40 breeder. What's in here? Goldfish, lots of plants, and a albino bristlenose pleco that always hides right there underneath that piece of wood, if you can see him. Right? You can kind of see the bristles. Kinda. Anyway, yeah, goldfish tank. Whoops. I love goldfish, and they are also my cleanup crew. So if I need to clean duckweed or something out of a tank, I will take them out of here and put them in that tank. So as an example, this tank had a bunch of duckweed. I needed the duckweed gone because I need to have it duckweed free for photography. Put the fish in here for a few days. They ate everything. I cleaned it out again. There was a couple pieces of duckweed left. They ate that, and then I took them out, put them back home. So, yeah, love those. Over here, kind of a mess of a tank, to be honest. And to be 100% transparent, I have not prepped any of these tanks for video, although I probably will do this one real quick just to wipe the condensation down from the glass. But otherwise, I haven't cleaned the tanks. I haven't done any algae cleaning or anything like that. So you're just kind of getting the real setup here. So this is a 60 breeder. So the difference between a 40 breeder and a 60 breeder, besides the obvious of it being 20 more gallons, is that this tank is 4 feet long, where a 40 breeder is 3 feet long. So instead of 36 inches, which would be right about there, it's 48 inches. So it goes all the way across, just like a 75 or a 55. And or another way of putting it is it's like a short 75-gallon tank because it's not very tall this direction, but still 18 inches front to back. So in here, kind of a South American setup. We've got some apistos in here. There's one right there. Other one's probably hiding somewhere. We've got a bunch of corridoras. We got a bunch of sturbis in here. We've got some cardinal tetras. We have these frustrating Amazon puffers where I had to trim the beaks. You've seen that video. If you haven't seen that video, go back a couple of months where I trimmed the beak, which means I have to basically sedate these fish in clove oil, take them out, and cut their beaks by hand with nail clippers. I don't like it. Apparently it's quite common. So I would not recommend this fish unless you for sure know they'll eat snails, or you have some other setup where you can like put food on the rock and they'll scrape the rocks off. I tried that. It's too much work to do on a day-to-day basis. Down below we have another 40 breeder. Here we have my green spot puffer. And this is a brackish tank. Brackish meaning a mixture of freshwater and saltwater. And we've got the 3D background that I made. And we've got a mangrove growing, well, a couple of mangroves growing out. And you can see here's actually the top of one of the mango trees. It's really a tree growing out there. So that's the only fish in here. I used to have some night gobies several years ago, up until a couple years ago, and they started to dwindle away. And now I just have the one green spot puffer, and it's kind of just my one lone wet pet. And I love them. Over here we have, let me move a light. Over here we have a guppy tank, just some Valsinaria, jungle tank, a bunch of guppies. This is an old tank. I've had this tank since 2012, maybe, something like that. I don't know. Long time. And it's like a, I don't know, 16-gallon Bowfront or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of a fun tank. Lots of kind of mutt guppies that look pretty. Down below, we have another tank. I think this is like 13 or 14 gallons or something like that. The fish in here is very shy. Oh, there he is. Oh, my God. He's actually on top of the rock right there. That is a top hat blenny. A very, very shy fish. Also brackish water. These live along the coast in Asia, like off the coast of Japan. I had a pair. I don't know if they were like a pair, but I had two of them that Steenfod Aquatics had sent me several years ago. Once he figured out they were brackish, and I had them both for a long time, and then one finally passed away, and I have still this one, and that was, gosh, maybe like 6 years ago, or 5, 6 years ago, long time. But cool fish, brackish water. It's easier than it sounds. You just mix a little bit of salt in your water when you're doing water changes. Reef salt, aquarium salt, not aquarium salt, but reef salt. And you get the brackish water. But normally, this guy is hiding under the rocks or inside those barnacle shells there. And he just happened to be there for the video. He's like, oh, Dad's got a camera. Let me just show off, which is very rare. Over here, let me move this light. Ugh. All right, over here we have another planet tank. We have a Betetta in here. This is what I call my work Betetta. I bought this fish specifically for product photography. Bettas are great for that because they don't swim fast. They're good to look at. I do need to do some, I don't know, pruning in here because there's a lot of plant growth, which is good because, good water quality and means the plants are healthy, but I do need to prune those back and have some more room for the fish and for shooting. But this tank is also like, I think, 15 gallons or 13 gallons or something like that. So, and then up above, I am going to wipe this glass and I'll be right back. All right, I did the best I could. Anyway, this is another brackish aquarium. This is also 40 gallons. Obviously not 40 gallons of water because this is a paludarium. I do need to do some gravel vac in here. I recently did a water change, but I've got some mulm in there, which is actually deteriorating wood, which is one of the reasons why I don't love wood. And if I went back in time and did this all over again, I would not have used any wood in here. Anyway, again, brackish water, mixture of fresh water and salt water. We have some mollies in here, and we have Indian mud skippers. There are a couple right there. You can see the Indian mud skipper right there. There's another one back in there. And the rest are hiding somewhere. Sometimes they hide behind here, underneath. But anyway, so there we have a couple of Indian mud skippers. I am not sure how old they are. I think, if I remember correctly, I got these all in 2019. So we're looking at about 6 years at this point. I haven't seen all of them at the same time. Most recently, I've seen 5 at the same time, so I know that at least I have 5. But I do suspect over the coming months and short years that my population is going to dwindle just because of old age. And at that point, I don't know if I'm going to get more Indian mud skippers or do some other kind of fish. They are not easy to find, but they are very enjoyable. And then moving over here, speaking of mud skippers, we have the African mud skippers. Also not easy to find. Not quite as cute and adorable. They are cool, but they are much, much bigger and more aggressive. And in here, I think I have 5, if I remember correctly. You can see one there. They spend a lot of time out of the water. So these are fish. They look like amphibians, I know, but they actually are fish. And they spend a lot of time out of the water. Although that one's in the water. That one's in the water. That one's obviously out of the water. And there's probably another one back there with that other guy. Oh, there he is. Missed him. Okay, so there's one. There's one. There's one. There's one, and there's one, and those are the 5 that I have remaining. So this is a 55-gallon tank, also brackish water. Mud skippers do require that mineral content. Easy for me to say. Yeah, they do well. They eat lots of different foods: live foods, frozen foods, freeze-dried foods, prepared pellet foods, and flake food. They eat everything. They do bite. Not on purpose, but if they think your finger is food, they will bite, and they do have sharp teeth. So sometimes I get a little freaked out by that, but, All right, and then down below, last thing, this is a tank that the fish are currently hiding in. This is just a kind of quarantine tank that I have. That's another 20-gallon quarantine tank, but I do have a couple of Mbuna in there that I'm growing out for them to get large enough to move to a different tank. And then more kind of behind the scenes stuff here. So we saw the desk. So this is where I probably, basically what I'll do is in the morning time, I'll work the first couple of hours in the morning at the upstairs office, and then right around 10:45 or so, the lights on in here start to turn on because everything's on Wi-Fi timers. And then I'll come down and kind of finish the day down here, like starting around 11 or so. And just, you know, multiple monitors, that whole thing. More Apple stuff. So MacBook Pro 16-inch. So as a company, we use Mac. I like Mac, easier to edit on and work on and everything. This is my product and food shelf. So a bunch of Aquarium Co-op foods, some Extreme foods. I work for Aquarium Co-op. Extreme supports me with all the food that I need. Some products that I'm either using or testing, or doing photography. Some Fritz stuff. More backup foods down there. We have, it's a little noisy over here. We have a sink, which is very, very handy for if you have a fish room, you want to have a sink in the same room or adjacent. Very handy. We do have in here my brine shrimp hatchery. If you have been using the Aquarium Co-op brine shrimp eggs, I recommend you order some more sooner than later because we're not doing a resupply at the moment due to the cost of a resupply and the current tariff situation. I think we have like 1,000 cans left or something like that. So if you need them, get them. I'll try to remember to put a link down below as well. But a great live food that you can hatch within a day, and I feed it to lots of tanks. So this tank loves them. All the fish in here eat them. All those fish, the ocellatus, eat them. Too big. These are too big. I do put some in here sometimes because the smaller juveniles and fry that survive love to chow down. Obviously the guppies, I'll put some in here sometimes. Oh, the top hat blenny loves the brine shrimp. So lots of fish get the brine shrimp, and it's kind of a fun thing to feed and hatch out. Just some products that I was shooting or getting some info on. Here's some more 3D printed stuff that I made. This dresser just holds like equipment, meds. Like this whole drawer is just full of meds. Let me get this thing out of the way. So like I have meds because I want to be sure that I have everything on hand if something happens. So we've got Paraclins and Maricin 2 and Icex and salt and all kinds of stuff in here in the event of some illness. I do need to do a better job with this corner. I've talked about this before. There used to be another aquarium back there that I took down. Let me turn a light on here. All right, that's better. So I do need to do a better job of cleaning this area up. But for now, it's just kind of like a out of sight, out of mind. That's all salt. It's all Fritz salt there, boxes of it. I've got stuff hiding behind this. That is a brand new dehumidifier that I purchased. I do have another one behind it, kind of over there, but it's unplugged as my emergency backup because it was starting to falter. This is my battery backup. So I do run everything off of a central air pump that's hiding back there. And the way that works is the air pump is plumbed into the ceiling, and it goes all around underneath, and then all these air lines drop down, and I have air if I need it. So you can see here, drops down and then goes into the tanks. That's a security camera that I have in here. I've got another security camera over there, motion sensor and all that cool stuff. But anyway, this battery backup is a giant battery. They are quite expensive, I understand, but if you do have a fish room or you rely on, fish for business, you want to make sure they're alive in the event of an outage. And this will run my central air pump for I think 50 hours or something nonstop. I do have other battery backups and things like that, but that's part of the life support system. I do run a fan to kind of take some of the warm air and flow it around. As far as temperature, it's a little cold today. So It is 76 degrees in this room. Normally this room sits around 78 degrees, so it's a couple degrees cooler. Like I said, it's been kind of cold outside, but it never drops below like 74 in this room, even like in the dead of winter. So pretty well insulated. And yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, let's do the cribs thing. What's in the fridge? So this is my Fishroom fridge. In here, I don't drink soda because, you know, I'm into working out and no sugar and all that stuff, but sparkling water. So we've got cucumber melon, berry, peach, and I think this is like a blood orange. And then I also keep brine shrimp bags, a big bottle of bacteria in here, Turbo Start, and then we've got like blood worms and all kinds of stuff in there. So yeah. So that is the kind of the behind the scenes, kind of the yuckier part of the fish room, but also important. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour and kind of the more realistic behind the scenes, what the fish room looks like, what my tanks look like, all that kind of stuff, my little pond upstairs, because that is in fact upstairs, which is kind of weird. The pond is upstairs, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching all the way until the end if you made it this far. I will put a link down below, or links down below, or in the pinned comment with the products that I had mentioned in this video. And of course, thank you again to Into the AM for being a great sponsor. So check out their products as well in the product description down below, or the description down below. Use the link and the code so that you can get 10% off of your Into the AM purchase. Thanks again for watching. Check out this other video. You'll probably like it, and we'll catch you on the next one.